thought Easter was a couple weeks ago, Frank. Were we praying for something, or is this? Oh wait, the international sign of the safety. We kind of had a safety dance game. It might have been an NCAA record. I've never seen that many safeties in a single game in 30-something years of watching football. It's crazy.
We'll see all of them coming up on this show, so stay tuned for that. JB, I want to talk about one thing. I think, got taught the hard way this weekend the value of sports information directors and the lack of resources some schools have. So the unsung heroes of spring football have to be the SIDs across the country that gave us box scores and got us the stats and everything else and helped us get interviews together. I'm not going to, name names, Lebval and Wilkes, but, I got to say, not having box scores for those games made trying to put together the show. We try to feature every East game that plays in this spring because we're an East Region show normally. So we were all excited, and you can see down here that we have 2 East Region games played, but we had no box scores. We got you something. We had video at least. We had that much. So we got you a little bit of something coming up on this show. But we said last year as we prepped for this, the resource issue that these schools might face with spring football. I think it's coming to fruition.
I think it is, and I think we're also kind of hitting some spring season fatigue. I mean, once again, we had close to 15 games postponed or canceled kind of last minute. I think at this point, schools are really sort of at their wits' end in certain respects, getting all the different sports and end of the year kinds of activities that are going to start rolling around soon with graduations and all that. But hey, we're 3 months into the spring season. This is going into week 12. The fact that we made it says a lot about these different schools and institutions, including the coaches, the administrators, the SIDs, obviously, who are really pulling, quadruple duty in some respects, juggling so many sports they normally wouldn't have in a single season. But we got here, and we have a couple more of these left, I think. But we got to at least recap all the action of the actual 18 games of week 11 of the 2021 season.
Trying to steal my thunder here? You're trying to steal my thunder where I do this big lead up in the intro, wink to the crowd and everything else. Don't steal my thunder, because it's up to me to say this is season 13 of In the Huddle. How dare you try to steal my thunder, JB?
I'm just trying to say something. I'm trying to say something right, because lately I've noticed I've had a couple of little trip ups. Lebval, maybe the box score being missing is due to the fact that I referred to them as the Warriors on a couple of tweets when that's really likening. They're one of their rivals. I should have known that. Literally the last 3 months, this final PAC Championship game was shown to be at Washington and Jefferson. It's not. Okay, so I mean, some of it I can explain, but
this is a phenomenon that happens a lot, especially in basketball when they do the schedules at the schools. They put in kind of the placeholders for the conference championships or conference playoffs, and they never kind of go back and say, oh, okay, now that we know who the teams are, we'll put them in the right order and all that stuff. And that's what happened in this case. Yeah. I think the school had put it in, and it gets automatically added to the D3Football.com system that way, and the rest is us getting confused, and it doesn't take much for that. So anyway,
No.
But listen, we will be having more shows. We will have a live show on Friday this week, and we'll also have a show next week, a minor preview, but also we're going to look back at the last 14 months of what we've been through as a show and as a football division, and got to start kind of going to the archives to grab some stuff for that one. So you'll want to watch that. We'll kind of do a little retro, maybe a video essay of sorts like we did a la Wesley a few weeks back. Still sad that Wesley did not get to finish with another game, but
yeah,
Wolverines forever, as they know or should know. In the show, Konieczka of Westminster and Mike Sirianni of Washington and Jefferson, the coach, are going to join us to talk about the PAC Championship Game. I kind of a spoiler alert I should have put into that because you'll know who won one of the games now. In case you didn't already, it's probably Tuesday or Wednesday when you're watching the show, so I guess we should assume you know when you came here for the highlights, and that's that. Speaking of highlights from that Westminster game, I'm going to say it now, not in the crunch time itself. 1980s called and they want their cameras back. Westminster.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I mean, you had multi-camera angles, and yet you had just a square, and the main camera was like resolution from hell. I can't figure out what the hell happened on that game, but
it wasn't a pay-per-view kind of thing where you had to do extra for the better, like, HD feed that you see sometimes.
I don't think it existed in this case. No. So you'll see what I mean when we get to the highlights, and you'll have to bear with us. I'm trying to figure out if we're going to letterbox them or if we're going to keep them as square when I do my edits on this. I don't know how I'm going to letterbox them without cutting out something out of it, but we'll figure it out, and you'll see. You know what? Instead of me jibber-jabbering here, let me jibber-jabber about some meaningful stuff like scores, stats, highlights. You know what time it is, JB? You want to do the open? Go ahead.
No, it's all you.
Oh no, you take it.
All right. Well, for week 11 of the spring 2021 season, we bring you Crunchtime.
Let's start in the OAC Championship Game, and Mount Union 64, Heidelberg 14. Let's just show you the first 3 touchdowns for Mount Union. I think you can kind of get the idea of how this one went ultimately. 2.5 minutes into the game, Wayne Ruby from Braxton Plunk, 62-yard touchdown pass. That made the game 7-0 very early. About 8 minutes later, there goes those boys again. Braxton Plunk to Wayne Ruby. 13-yard touchdown pass there, 14-0. And then Braxton Plunk found a new receiver in Jaden Manley. Not new to him, but new in this game at least. And this is the second longest touchdown pass in Mount Union history. 94-yard touchdown pass. You know who has the record? Larry Karras has a 95-yard touchdown pass. Yep. And so they almost broke the record on them. 21-0 there. Final score 64-14. 609-289 in yardage in favor of Mount Union. Plunk with 5 touchdown passes and 1 rushing touchdown. And Zach Blackiston from Heidelberg with a game high 12 tackles. Heidelberg, hold your head up high because, look, we know the season was not what you expected it to be in many ways, but you did some great things along the way. Let's leave it at that.
Absolutely.
More video from the OAC. Muskingum at Otterbein. So after a Gavin Costello 39-yard field goal with 22 seconds left in the first half for Muskingum, Otterbein does this with Jalen Minnie, I should say. We go from Jaden Manley to Jalen Minnie. 49-yard touchdown pass from Bryce Hall with 2 seconds left. Great job to get into the end zone there and made it 14-12 Otterbein at halftime. Then Siraj Muhammad had a 10-yard touchdown run 7 minutes into the third quarter to give Otterbein a 21-12 lead. So looking safe there, but hey, Muskingum said no. Cameron Neer, 32-yard touchdown pass from Jordan Garrett, made it 21-19. Nifty move to get into the end zone at the end of this one, for sure. And then in the fourth quarter, 5.5 minutes into it, Demarion Johnson, trust me that it was eventually ruled a touchdown. The 1-yard run made it 26-21. And then toward the end of the game, with only about 13 seconds left, Bryce Hall The pass was intercepted by Tristan Howell at the Muskingum 17-yard line, so Otterbein had a chance here, but it was stolen away at the end of the game. And the final score again, 26-21 Muskingum. 2 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 7 interceptions by the Muskingum defense, 3 by Brian Brown and 2 by Tristan Howell, including that last one that we showed you. And Jordan Garrett, 26 for 40, 254, 1 touchdown. Let me finish up here in the OAC with Wilmington and Marietta. Marietta wins that one 34-7. And you can see the stats right there in front of you. JB, as we transition here to the other conferences, OAC, thanks to the memories this season, it finishes the way we assumed it would finish, at least in terms of who the winner is.
Yeah, although I wasn't expecting the Raiders to win by 50. I don't know what happened there, and I'm not sure. Is this like a... Are they that much better than the rest of the conference? Because they were in some more competitive games, or was this just one of those situations where things really just kind of got off to a bad start for the Student Princes and the momentum just never came back to them? So obviously Mount Union's Braxton Plunk is probably the most standout offensive player that we've seen in this spring, and will certainly help the Raiders be likely either, if not number 1, number 2 in the top 25 come this fall. They will definitely be favorites to go to the Stag Bowl, just based on this body of work that we've seen and some of the offensive firepower. So interesting. Maybe we can do a top 25 poll, Frank. I don't know. We'll have to mull that over at some point.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So we have a guest coming up, Cole Konieczka from Westminster, so we decided to do some video clips here in honor of him as Westminster beats Carnegie Mellon 32-22. Tell you, the Tartans held in here for a while in this game. It was, 2-0, 3-2 for a while in this game.
Yep.
And then Cole Konieczka, let's watch this one.
Konieczka puts a man in motion, he's back to pass. Konieczka looking, he tries to escape, runs up the middle. Get out. Cole Konieczka goes right up the middle, and he will go right into the end zone. Looks like Lamar Jackson. Cole Konieczka, what a beautiful touchdown.
That 20-yard touchdown run made it 8-3 in favor of Westminster. The conversion failed. Then we had a 44-yard touchdown pass from Konieczka to Tylen Elam. And that 44-yard pass made it 15-3. Trust me again that was a touchdown for Elam, as the camera missed it, but we'll just keep moving on here. Later, Carnegie Mellon would tie with 6 minutes left in the third at 15-15. But Elam, for a second time from Konieczka, this time a 30-yard touchdown pass, almost got this one in the frame, but you could kind of see the athleticism needed for it. 22-15 in favor of Westminster, and this one you'll see all the way.
Position.
Let's watch this touchdown.
Konieczka in the backfield. Konieczka gets it. He's back to pass. Konieczka looking, throws it, finds Valente once again. He's still going.
He's going to go.
40, 30, 20, and they're not going to catch him. See you later. Ian Valente with another touchdown for Westminster.
Ian Valente, 71-yard touchdown pass from Konieczka, 32-15 is the score at that point. Carnegie Mellon gets a late touchdown, make it 32-22. Konieczka, 344 passing yards, 3 passing and 1 rushing touchdown, the one that you saw. Elam with those 2 touchdowns. That's part of his 7 receptions for 125 yards. Geneva off the schneid as they break an 8-game losing streak against Grove City. 31 rushes for 176 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's Amos Leptek's line for Geneva. Cody Gustafson, though, on the other side for Grove City, 16 receptions, 154 yards. You know who their key receiver is, that's for sure. Augustana 51, North Park 14, as we start moving into the Saturday games, I guess. Or no, actually, this is a Friday game, I should say.
Yep, it's Friday night.
Jacob Brooks. Yep, see, you're rubbing off on me. Jacob Brooks with a 20-rush, 164 performance and a touchdown. Alec Jacobs from Augustana with 4 passing and 1 rushing touchdowns, though. As we flip page here, the PAC Championship, Westminster, Washington, and Jefferson, we'll talk more about obviously later. But did you necessarily see that coming, or did you think it was going to be other teams?
Well, and we'll get into this a little bit with Coach Sirianni, but just the way the PAC had structured things, I thought that it was going to be one of the 3 teams from, I guess, the north side, and the fact that Westminster was able to outlast Grove City was, in a way, basically it's like, okay, well that's probably going to be, the answer there. But at the same time, I mean, Washington Jefferson has been a strong team in that conference for a while now. So the nice thing about the PAC is that any team seems that they could beat each other on any given Friday or Saturday. So that's made watching this conference that much more enjoyable. I mean, Geneva beating Grove City was kind of a surprise. That's a pretty bad loss for the Wolverines, considering. But it was one of those days you got to give Luptak and the Golden Tornadoes credit. They came to play and they got the win.
Let's move on to a Saturday PAC game. Now we're in Saturday, Frank. St. Vincent 56, Waynesburg 26, as the rushing record set by Mike Stasko. 1,869 yards was the St. Vincent all-time rushing record. Great job by him. Brady Walker, 5 touchdowns also in that game. Albion 49, Adrian 34. So in this game, Adrian led 34-32, but the last 17 points go to Albion as Philip Jones-Price from Albion gets 20 rushes, 78 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground. Trine 36, Olivet 21 as we continue in the MIAA. Alex Price, a former guest of ours on the show, 16 for 25, 331, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Trine defense held Olivet to -2 rushing yards with 3 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, an interception, a fumble recovery, and a partridge in a pear tree.
In a pear tree, yes.
Yes, in the Heartland, Rose-Hulman 35, Bluffton 0. I thought Bluffton would have a little bit more firepower than this, but I was wrong. Rose-Hulman's Shane Welshens with 36 rushes, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns. Montez Archer, a former guest of ours, 7 tackles and 1 interception for Bluffton. Franklin 31, Defiance 18, as Franklin scored the last 10 points in the fourth to seal the win. Ryan Poole with 3 receptions, 82 yards, 3 touchdowns. Let's take a look at this Mount St. Joseph-Manchester game. Let's go to the fourth quarter, in fact. 4:17 left. Mount St. Joseph, it's Wyatt Reckerson, the 5'6" freshman receiver, gets the 25-yard touchdown pass from Josh Taylor to make it 44-21. Mount St. Joseph. Game over. 4 minutes left. Game's over. Right? Done.
Yeah, sure.
But tell that to Harrington Greer and Bryce Tomasi, as Tomasi gets him a 36-yard touchdown pass with 2:47 left in that fourth quarter. It's 44-28 now in favor of Mount St. Joseph. It's okay. No problem. No worries over here. Okay. 37 seconds left. Joseph Powell, 13-yard touchdown pass from Bryce Tomasi. 44-36 now in favor of Mount St. Joseph. Getting a little nervous now. Let's see the onside kick. Surely that will fail.
It's a great kick! Cutters! His hands are saving the Spartans, John! Manchester recovers the onside kick, down by 8.
Okay, maybe it won't fail. But, only 30-something seconds left at this point. They can't do this, can they? Well,
3rd and 10. Tomasi's pass is caught! Touchdown! Spartans! They're within 2!
Pass is complete to number 32.
Evan Vizcarra, a freshman!
Well, they have to go for 2. And I think you know by the scoreboard earlier what the result was. No good, but let me tell you something. This was a tremendous attempt by Manchester to come back in this game.
Absolutely.
And again, one of those, if you think the games don't matter in the spring to these teams, try again. Just watch the ending of this game. Mount St. Joseph 44, Manchester 42 final, as they scored 21 points and 247 essentially to almost tie and force overtime. Taylor from Mount St. Joseph, though, 405 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. Concordia, Wisconsin, we didn't have any video that we could use our favorite play-by-play guy to hear about James Lynn, but I'll tell you about that Lynn in this 37-21 win had 5 passing touchdowns. On Eureka's side, though, Nathan Gerard had a 249-yard total day with 1 passing and 1 rushing touchdown. Okay, you heard a lot about it. Let's see just how important field position really is in terms of post-punt or whatever else happens in a drive. So, let's see. Safety number 1 comes from a punt block in the back of the end zone, It was blocked by Danny Baker, according to the stats, with 5:50 left in the second quarter. That made it Illinois College 7, Lake Forest 2. Okay, third quarter, as Lake Forest struggling in this game despite a time of possession advantage, a decided one at that. I believe it was Colin Dybra with the rush in loss of a yard. Matt Leonard with the tackle gets the safety, and now it's the very, very ripe score, 14-4 in favor of Illinois College.
14-4.
Yeah. Now, Lake Forest, in the meantime, scores a touchdown. They brought it to 14-11, so with 10:51 left in the fourth quarter, Josh Grant runs for a 2-yard loss as Jamari Tansmore gets the safety. This time, it's 14-13 Illinois College. Now, again, in the meantime, it was a touchdown by Lake Forest, but who cares about touchdowns in football? Yeah. Let's talk about the safeties.
Let's go for two.
Yeah, after an offsides call against Lake Forest, what looks like a set fake by the punter, who also is a passer, come to find out, he kind of steps up, doesn't make any attempt to punt that ball, and that is a sack in the end zone for a 21-14 score. That is 4 safeties by Lake Forest, and the final score 21-14. Got to be a record. It's got to be a record. Widener had 5 in the season. That was the record for a season in Division III. So you can't tell me that is not a record, at least in Division III. 40-20 time possession advantage. A.J. Jackson, 1 rushing touchdown, 6 receptions, 98 yards. Let's go to more video. This is where things start running a little afoul for us in terms of what we can tell you about games, as we had no box score to generate our clips off of. So in the third quarter, a touchdown by number 14 of Wilkes, who's not on the roster on the website, makes it 22-14, 5 minutes into the third quarter. Catholic began his comeback with 1:59 left in the third quarter as they got the ball back, and they were trailing by 8. The team took it over at the 41-yard line, but eventually Berger gets the touchdown on an 8-play, 59-yard drive. It's an 11-yard touchdown pass to Mark Sheffers that pulled the Cardinals within 2, 22-20, 14:08 left fourth quarter. Next drive, here you go. It is this time Jeffrey getting the catch from Berger, a 27-22 score in favor of Catholic. They stopped Wilkes on 2 3-and-outs, essentially in the fourth quarter, and held on 27-22 in favor of Catholic. Brady Berger with 285 passing yards, 2 passing, and 1 rushing touchdown. Let's look at Milliken having a struggle again against Carthage, 41-19, as Eddie L. III gets a 94-yard kickoff return that broke a 13-13 tie, and that was the start of 27 unanswered by Carthage. Billy Drury, I think it is actually, 3 passing, 1 rushing touchdowns in that game. Let's go to Augsburg in Martin Luther on the Sunday slate here. Kyle McDonough with the interception with 1:52 left secures the Augsburg victory at 24-21, and Kate Sheehan with the 302-yard passing day, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And in the final game that we'll go to video on, and by the way, I should apologize, Love Val, you weren't the host in this game, it was Alvernia. So Alvernia, where's the box score? Now I can say that at this point. But let's see, Cody Kigaris to Jay Sisko, a 19-yard touchdown pass made it 23-7 in favor of Laval with a minute left in the third quarter. Well, Alvernia fights its way back, and eventually, with no time on the clock, Kevin Washington Jr. to Nico Skurlock, this short touchdown pass makes it 23-21. You know what's coming up? The 2-point conversion to tie and send it to overtime, but it's a keeper that was snuffed out. And look at the celebration by Lev Val in this game. Again, if you think these things don't matter, these games, just watch the ends of these games, and you'll see it's not the case. 23-21 final, Lev Val wins. I have no stats to talk about in that game or nothing else to say, so I'm going to say that was crunch time for Week 11 of the Spring 2021 Division III college football season. As we normally do, I'm going to ask you, after I reeled off the last 6 or so games, I'll ask you to comment, pick out your favorite of that batch, and give us a little thought.
Well, I think the Sunday games were pretty entertaining. I mean, a 2-point win by Laval and Osberg hanging on for a 3-point win at Martin Luther out there in Minnesota. Just some really great action. And like you said, when you see the ends of these games, particularly these close, contests, and even in the blowouts, I guess you could say, because there was a lot of social media activity with Mount Union players. So grateful, relieved, pictures of them holding up the OAC trophy. And so this whole thing that the spring season ultimately didn't matter or wouldn't count, all this completely discounted by just watch the games. You see these guys are fighting for every yard. They want to win. And, for Laval, for instance, I mean, it was probably 510, 20 days since they last, played a game. So, just even if this is their one game that they get to play, it was a win for them. It sets them off into the, kind of the postseason, almost 2021 fall preseason with some momentum there in the MAC. And it was just great to see a couple more East Region teams getting out there. There might be, we know at least one game this upcoming weekend and sort of the finale of the spring season. We're waiting to hear about a second game out of the CCC. There was some social media activity from Nichols that was indicating that their game with Western New England may still be on. But as we've seen, Frank, I mean, perfect example, Bethany and Washington Jefferson, games can get canceled, the morning of, and that's that.
Yeah, and that's why we do this show about the schedule really on a Friday now, because we learned the hard way that we give you 30 games and then half of them aren't played, and what good is us running down and wasting your time at that point? So you come visit us on Friday. Yep. We give you a little entertainment, I guess, heading into what is the final major weekend of spring football across Division III. That Catholic game too. At the end of that Catholic game, with that comeback by them, looking at that raw emotion from that team, and they thought they were going to get a chance to play in the fall, like we said, I think last week. And just watching them and talking to Coach Gutt a little bit on direct message, I know you did and I did both. They were very thankful for the coverage and excited for the win, to say the least. So, PAC Championship Game, the final championship that we're going to be hearing about, because I know other conferences culminating in that way. And it's going to be Westminster hosting Washington and Jefferson. I believe I have the host right. You can correct me if I'm wrong now. But
Westminster is hosting, apparently.
So when you give the home team the first words in this game.
First dibs? Okay.
Yeah, Konieczka was a major factor in the Grove City win a week earlier, and that was an important game, obviously, for Westminster. They had lost that game. Maybe Grove City beats Geneva with momentum at that point. I think they sort of got the wind knocked out of them from the loss, and obviously Geneva popped up there and did great work to beat them. But let's talk Westminster here in terms of this team has had ECAC experience. Konieczka has great experience himself. And so you look at this team, and if anybody's going to beat Washington and Jefferson, it's going to be this team. It's got to be this team. It's the only one left on the schedule, but you get my point. So we talked to Konieczka, junior quarterback of Westminster.
So, Cole, tell us a little bit about last Friday night's game. Real big contest against Carnegie Mellon and a chance to get into the spring PAC Championship Game against W&J this upcoming Friday night. Walk us through a little bit about what that game was like and how you guys were able to kind of pull away there at the end. It's kind of tough sledding there for a little while, but you guys got it together and got the win.
Yeah, we knew it was an important game. We had to win to get into the PAC Championship. And we started out slow, a little sluggish. And, with CMU, it kind of always is. It's a little tighter of a game to start. And then by the third quarter, we were able to break away, scored 17 unanswered. And that really just helped solidify the lead and kind of helped solidify the win there. But a tough physical game against them always, like it is.
Let's go back a week if we can, because the Grove City win took a lot out of you guys. I think it just seemed like a very emotional, hard game for your team, and they always give you a great game, and vice versa every year. JB was pointing that out in our prediction show a couple weeks ago. Did winning that game possibly kind of give you the looking past CMU scenario early on, or just kind of take us through the flow of the last couple of weeks overall, because this has kind of been the gauntlet for you guys the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, Grove City's a tough game, always physical, and there was definitely a lot of emotion behind that game with the past 2 years losing to them and the way we lost last year. It was definitely a lot of emotion going into the game, and it was a tough physical game. It's always a tough game with them, and I wouldn't say we looked past CMU, but we knew the goal was always to go undefeated in regular season and then ultimately be able to play in that PAC championship game. So it wasn't so much looking past, it was just kind of expected to, do better, and we knew what we had to do, and I think we played well enough to get to this point.
Yeah, speaking of getting to this point, do you sometimes kind of look back and sort of say, here we are. It's amazing, after what happened in 2020 with all the cancellations, and even in the last couple of weeks, what we've seen with the spring season, there, lots of games are getting dropped left and right. But you guys have been able to play all the games on your schedule, as far as I know, and you have your final, opportunity to go home with a championship, pretty much the last spring championship game that there is left.
Right, and it's definitely been different because back in the fall, we didn't even know if we were going to be playing in the spring at all. And to get these 5 games, it's been awesome. And with our COVID, we actually haven't had any really positive tests that have impacted us. So that's been really nice. I think we've all been, following the rules, doing what we're supposed to be doing, really limiting our exposure to people. And it's been nice that we haven't had any setbacks during this season, and now it's the final game. So after this, it'll be nice to kind of relax and get out there a little bit.
We haven't had many juniors on, to be honest with you. It seems like we only go senior-based or freshman-based lately for some unknown reason. So I've got an interesting I can't even speak. Interesting question for you. Rendered speechless. For you, I mean, was there decision-making to be made when it came to COVID and seeing how the fall season disappeared from you as to whether you would stay enrolled, how you would handle, the future, etc.? For you, especially, you're going to have an extra year if you want it. Does that filter into your equation at all as to how you're going to handle your senior season, or whatever you want to call that 4th year that you're attending Westminster?
Right, yeah, and back in the fall, I kind of talked with my advisor a little bit about getting the extra year eligibility and how I could structure my classes so I could be able to take them, because they gave me an extra season, and I know this season really hasn't been a full season, so I wanted to take that opportunity and take that extra year eligibility. So I'm actually going to be coming back and playing. But there was little uncertainty in the fall. I didn't know if I wanted to practice because we weren't going to practice for a season, but I knew since we were getting a new offense, it was going to be really, really beneficial in the fall to practice a full fall semester, not being able to play a game, just kind of working on getting used to this offense and learning the new offense.
It seems like the new offense is going pretty well for you guys. I think you've been scoring, at least 30 plus points per game, and good mix of running and passing. I mean, it's been almost you keep seeing all these teams that have just started playing. It's like 500 something days. It's probably been about 500 or so days since you guys last played Washington and Jefferson. They're obviously a strong program, and a team that is, I think they won the PAC in 2019. Frank, if memory serves, it feels like it was forever ago. But I mean, what is it? What is this sort of game week for you guys with the championship on the line, or is it just sort of the old football? Just another game. We're going to prepare and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stake on this game. It's the PAC Championship, but for us, we're looking at it as a rivalry game because that's really what it is. Us playing W&J every year, it's always a rivalry game. It's always a lot of emotion behind this game. We always want to, beat the other team pretty badly, but I think we're just looking at it as another rivalry game. Not really looking too much into this as a huge PAC Championship game, but we definitely know what's on the line and definitely know we need to play our best game of the season to win.
So your stat line includes your height at 5'9", which, if that is true and accurate, I like you already, because I'm 5'9", or at least I was at one point in my life. As you get older, supposedly you shrink a little bit, and I don't dare to challenge that. But 5'9" is obviously a little bit short for a quarterback, but you're still throwing for 300-plus yards. Who are your influences? Why are you quarterbacking? I mean, at that height, a lot of people probably tried to say to you, hey, listen, this may not work in the future for you, but you're succeeding at it. Kind of give us your backstory in this respect.
Yeah, so even when I first started playing football, first position I was really at was quarterback. I had a little bit of an arm. I always played football and baseball, and I always, pitched for baseball. Had a pretty good arm, and going up through midgets, I was always quarterback. Came to middle school, tried out quarterback, got the starting job my 8th grade year, and then moving into high school, it really wasn't a question whether I wanted to play quarterback. It was always my dream, always what I played, always what I knew. And, being a little shorter than average, it definitely a little struggle, but, it's not bad. And I know looking up to guys like Drew Brees, I think it's only like 5'10". Russell Wilson, I know, is a little shorter. Kyler Murray, guys like that now that I can see succeeding in the league, even being a little bit shorter. So really, I just take it what it is. Can't do nothing about my height, so gotta play with it.
You play like you're 6'2", so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at your bio, and 3,700 yards and 31 touchdowns and this actually has to be the most interesting hometown high school I've ever heard of, Moon area. So you got to tell us a little story, Cole. What is this? What is a Moon area? I mean, I know that there's like the Moon Township part of Pennsylvania, but for those that may not know Western PA, what's the whole thing with Moon and that part of the state?
Yeah, I mean, I moved to Moon my 8th grade year, and I thought it was kind of goofy having the name Moon. And then we actually play a team or a high school, Mars, which is also kind of funny. 2 planets kind of going at it. But yeah, it is Moon Township, kind of Moon Township and Coriopolis, Pennsylvania. And Moon area really just came for the high school name, I think. And it's like right next to the Pittsburgh airport. So my house is literally, I think, 5 minutes away from the Pittsburgh airport. So it's like right there.
Well, the action is going to feel like it's on Mercury coming up this Friday night as you guys... Yeah, that was horrible, I know. But anyway, we're just going to roll. But this Friday night against Washington and Jefferson, we wish both teams luck. But Cole, I don't know if you know our tradition on our show, but we give you the floor for any shout-outs for any friends, family, teammates, coaches, significant others, anybody you want to say hello to or give a shout-out to. And noticeably, we've avoided saying your last name during this interview. So, Cole Konieczka, your shout-outs.
Yeah, I mean, I always like to shout out my family. They've always supported me, always helped me through all my football career. And I really want to shout out my offensive line, of course, the Pit Vipers, we call them. It starts with them up front, and we roll with them. They roll, we roll. And I want to shout out my whole team. We've really been a complimentary football team this season. When the defense is down, we pick them up. When we're down, the defense picks us up. And I think that stems all the way from our head coach, Scott Benzel. Really knows what he's talking about, really great football mind, and he really pushes us to play our best and succeed and do what we do.
Well, it's working. It's obviously working, and congratulations to you guys. This has been an interesting stretch. I know COVID made this season seem sometimes probably like, well, why are we doing this? But you guys have made the most of it, and we really appreciate that from teams that have come out every game and played it like it's, championship weekend every weekend, and you guys have done so. So congratulations on getting this far. Good luck on Friday night, and let's see where this goes for you guys.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good poise by him, generally, as you could tell in that interview. And, you can tell there's a little bit of locality rivalry going on in the Pennsylvania ranks because you're going to hear a little bit of something in the next interview about Konieczka as we talked to Coach Sirianni about things a little bit. And everybody kind of in the same radius realm over there, and knows each other pretty well, both in a good and a bad way, I'm sure. But Konieczka is one of those guys that probably had a bunch of PAC schools he could play for, and seems to love Westminster and is sticking around, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, a lot of these guys are from that western part of Pennsylvania, a really big high school football community. I'm sure they get looked at by lots of schools at all levels. But it was interesting, kind of hearing from Coach Sirianni about some of the different obstacles that they faced. I didn't even realize until after we spoke to him, Frank, that he's the brother of the guy who's like the new coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, right?
Yes.
The Mount Union brothers. And so I was like, oh, wait a minute. That's why I recognize that name. But, comes across as a very down-to-earth, guy. I mean, he's still very serious, football coach, kind of demeanor, family man, all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, I mean, he's been with W&J for a long time. And even though they're going to be sort of the road team here, and initially I thought maybe the potential favorites because they had an extra week. If you look on the track record of this series, Frank, the Titans have had the president's number over the last couple of seasons. So we'll have to think about this one, come lightning pick time on Friday, because this is going to be a tough call for me, at least. Presidents have looked real good in the games they played, and but this Titans offense is kind of clicking too. It's going to be a great wrap. I think this is the fifth and obviously final conference championship game that we've had in the spring. And like I said once before, please do this more often. Championship conference games are great for the sport, and it's a great way to sort of wrap a bow on the spring 2021 season.
You asked him a question, I think, right off the bat about this whole PAC championship scenario and whatnot, and let's just jump right into his first answer.
Well, we're just happy to play. I mean, I when this first whole started, we were going to play a spring season. I was really torn about what to do with it. Are we going to go all in and try to play as all of our players and at the risk of getting hurt? When listen, there's the reward for winning a conference championship is to go to the NCAA playoffs, and there's no NCAA playoffs, and so we decided to hold a couple guys out with injuries, and then something happened on campus where we lost 5 other starters. So we're like 7 starters down, and I'm thinking, what are we going to do here? Are we gonna go all in, or are we going to just hold some other people out? And honest to God, I watched. We opened the season next year with John Carroll, and on March 12th, I watched the John Carroll Baldwin Wallace game, and I watched how hard those two schools played against each other, and I'm like, listen, I mean, if we're going to play as hard as we possibly can. We're going to try to win. They're giving out. I know we can't go to the NCAA playoffs. I know we're missing 7 starters, but if they're going to hand out a championship. We're just not going to give it to someone. So, kind of that game. Honest to God, watching the John Carroll Baldwin Wallace game online on March 12th, now season 2 weeks away, really changed my thoughts and my intentions of how we were going to attack the season. And at that point on, we decided to go all in. Obviously we have our All-American receiver back, and I was really torn with what to do with him before that, and he wants to play. And so we target him as much as we can, and we're all in. We're trying to win the championship minus our players. That's fine. We don't care. We're just trying to win a championship. We're just not going to let someone else take a trophy.
Coach, I think this is your 18th season, depending on how we count everything now and all that stuff. I'm going to assume that this season is unlike any other that you've experienced for obvious reasons. But as you said, you were happy to play some football or to get some football in this whole equation. Coming into it, before you watched that game in the OAC, what kind of was your mentality about what this spring season would be useful for? Why did you even want to be a part of it?
My mentality before that was, listen, let's keep everyone healthy. Let's play as many players as we possibly can. Let's get to listen, I was focused on John Carroll, September 4th, 2021. I mean, that was really my focus. I mean, because I know a lot of these seniors have extra years of eligibilities, and I'll be upfront and honest with you. Most of our seniors are going to come back and play next year, and like I told you to start off with, we held some guys out. Our EJ Thompson, our running back, Alex Keith, our starting defense, probably our best defensive player. We held out for injuries and personal reasons, and then we had an incident on campus where we lost Josh Burns and Max Garter and Mitch DeZort, three really, really important part of our team. And at that point, I'm like, listen, man, let's just get through this and let's not get anyone else hurt and lose anyone, and let's focus on 2021. But you watch as we started practicing, and you watch the intensity and how much excitement there was for our players to play. It was 16 months since we played. Like I said, that watching that Carroll BW game really changed my tune. We have practiced hard. We have prepared like we would prepare any other week during the regular season, and we're, like I said, we're all in. And Andrew really kind of changed, not changed my mind, but he was in my ear all the time. Coach, I haven't played he hasn't really played in 2 years, because he only played 2 games in 2019, and we probably shouldn't have let him play in the one at all. He's like, Coach, I got to play. I haven't played in 2 years, and like I said, we're just excited to play. It's been there's so many people to besides our players and our coaches, our trainers, our administrators. Our athletic director has been terrific with the testing that has had to go on, and getting the test results back for us so we could play. And our trainers obviously having to go through everything. There's just so many people to give credit to that for this season being played. And we do have a few seniors that aren't going to play next year, so they deserve to go out and give us. We deserve to give them our all-out effort to go out and try to win as many possibly games as we possibly can.
Yeah, you guys have had a pretty solid rivalry with Westminster over the years. I know that at least the last, 3-4 seasons, these games have been very razor thin as far as looking at the differential and the scores and all that. When you saw that Westminster was able to pull away and beat Carnegie Mellon last weekend, was it sort of with a sense of, we knew that those guys would probably be the ones, and you're ready for it, or was it just like, okay, here we go again, and you're starting to game prep and sort of what you would normally do if it was in the fall as well?
Yeah. Well, with the way that our conference got split up this year, let's be honest, we got an easier draw than you got Case. Well, Case opted out. You got Grove City, Westminster, and Carnegie Mellon, all in the north. And then no one likes to play Geneva. Geneva's a good football team when they don't fumble the football. Okay, and when they don't fumble the football, they're a good football team. They played us tough. When they put the ball on the ground, obviously no one's a good football team, but they're well coached. They're a good football team. And now that was the north, and we got the south, and so everyone knows, and that we got the easier of the draws, and so the north was going to be a battle between those 4 schools, and look, it ended up look at how much it did, because Geneva ended up beating Grove City at the end. So once we saw that Carnegie or that Westminster beat Grove City, we figured that we would play Westminster. That being said, Carnegie Mellon has beaten Westminster too. So we didn't really start preparing until Saturday morning, knowing that, thinking, because our game didn't get canceled until Friday morning. So we were all in on Bethany. To say, I think, the last 6 years we're 500 and, against them. And not many teams can say that to do that to us. And, Scott has done a great job with that. And I know, pretty much they've done everything except cap it off by winning a conference championship. We still, being able to do that. So I don't think that their focus is on us. I think that they want to win their first conference championship. But it's been you can say a friendly rivalry. It's been a vicious rivalry. The two teams are not the best of friends. I think we respect them, and Scott and I get along, but obviously the two teams don't like each other a whole lot, and that's okay. It's football. So we're excited to play in the championship. Like I told you before, we have a bunch of guys that we're holding out for whatever reasons. But that being said, we're just not going to give someone a trophy. I know there's no NCAA playoff to be won, but we'd like to add, to our 26th, 27th conference championship to the history of W&J football, and that's what we're going to try to do.
I will give you a chance to give a little bit of an accolade, at least across the aisle here, because we spoke with Cole Konieczka earlier, the quarterback for Westminster. 5'9", but can throw a ball unlike many out there, getting 300-plus yards last week. He's got to be, as somebody, I know you appreciate a good quarterback out there, quarterbacks that have the ability. It must make it a little tough to game plan for this team.
I mean, they're extremely game plan. Well, first of all, we recruited also, and he ended up going to Westminster. And those battles happen. And actually, Cole probably lives 10 minutes from where I live here. I live in Hopewell, but he lives right in the neighboring school district. So I've known him and watched him play in high school. He's had a terrific. Well, first of all, he had a terrific season in 2019. He was a good high school player, and I give a lot of credit to Westminster because he's developed even more so this year with their new offensive coordinator, even better than he was last year, and that's he's grown up a little bit too. But gosh, they're tough to defend, and they changed their offense, and they're a little more wide open, and RPOs very similar to us, and then defensively, wow, they've always been very good on defense. They attack and they come after you, and they have two defensive ends that are very, very good at our level of football. They're both transfer players, and they're very good football players, and they just put you in a position where they create havoc. I mean, that's what they do. They create havoc. They put the quarterback in pressurable situations, and we just have to react accordingly. Obviously, we haven't really we haven't scored a ton of points on them in the past couple of years, and we really struggled last year in terms of in the red zone, so we've been focused on that. But we know that they're going to come up with something new. They always do. They always come up with some new blitz or some new thing that takes some of our stuff away. And Scott's a really good defensive mind, and they are, like you said, Frank, they're very tough to prepare for. And the fact that Cole is playing the way he's playing now even makes it multiple, because now you have to worry just as much about their offense as you do their defense. So yeah, they're a very tough team to prepare for.
And Coach, what is W&J's sort of policy as far as like attendance and all that goes? I mean, I know that there's different conferences have different policies, some that started off with one way and then they changed halfway through and this and that. I mean, obviously this isn't the same kind of championship game atmosphere as it maybe you'd like to see, with the home stands packed full of people and all that type of thing. But will at least the parents of the players and I mean, I know all the schools in the PAC are relatively, close together as far as the communities. Yeah. And I imagine the protocols in the conference are pretty much uniform, and that's worked really well for you guys. I mean, pretty much all the games for the most part have happened, with that one or two exceptions here and there, like last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of got the short end of the stick. Our Bethany game was canceled, and that was going to be our second home game. We only got to play one away game or one home game this year. So the game is at Westminster because we played them at home in 19, and our conference has adopted home fans only, which I think a lot of them have done. Which is, listen, that's fine. I mean, obviously the COVID thing is serious. We take it very seriously here at W&J, and the conference does. And Joe Durko, our conference commissioner, has done a great job working with our presidents to keep everyone safe and not just play football, but play every sport that we're playing now in the PAC. So it's home fans only. So they'll get their home fans there and home students there, and we'll have the 58-man dress roster and our coaches, and that's fine. I mean, that's we're not going to get tired on the bus ride to New Wilmington. It's not that far. I mean, they're not going to have a packed house because I'm sure their attendance is kept under so it will just be our 58 guys and our players, and there's nothing we can do about that. There's nothing obviously we weren't happy losing a home game. We weren't able to have a senior night for our few seniors that are not coming back next year. And our parents were only able to see one game, but listen, everyone, like you and I are talking, everyone has the technology now to watch the game, and they'll watch their kids, and it is what, like everyone says, it is what it is, but it is what it is. That's the attendance policy, and
Interesting.
We'll be there for our
I thought you guys
will
were
be there for each other, and that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, all the stuff that I had read, I thought you guys were the host. So geez, it shows what I know. But either way,
I'm going to interject with a question. Last question for you, Coach. I said earlier, 18 seasons at W&J, you've had opportunities to go elsewhere. I know you have, and you've stayed. And I'm curious, with the winning percentage you have and everything else, why have you stayed at W&J as long as you have, and what's in the future for you?
Well, if you're referring to a little brother who's in your neck of the woods right now, who's the head coach, I'll just say this, that's not ever going to work out. Last time we were at the beach together, he won the bocce ball, but I won the wrestling match afterwards. So that's never going to work. I'm proud of him. He's deal with the Philadelphia media. Good luck, Nick. Listen, I don't want to sit here and say I've turned down jobs, because that would be untrue. Opportunities to pursue jobs, maybe. I'm comfortable. Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing now in my career is I'm comfortable. I mean, I'm comfortable with the type of kids that we have. I'm comfortable. I don't want to be anyone's assistant. I'm comfortable, and that's. Listen, at this point in my career, I'm happy with that. I've watched some of my friends obviously move around and move up, and that Mount Union tree, and you watch the guys at Toledo and Iowa State, and really all over the place, and you sit back there and say, well, should I have done this? Should I have done that? But listen, we've won a ton of games. We won a ton of conference championships. We've been to the playoffs 12 times. But there's something missing. We haven't won the national championship. And even when I wasn't coaching at W&J in the 90s, they were terrific at W&J. They didn't win a national championship. And that's our goal. I mean, is it a realistic goal at W&J? Listen, if you're going to give a national championship, why not? Why can't it be? I mean, do we have a higher hill to climb than some other schools with some things with our academic standards and the cost of our school? Yeah, but if we're going to play, let's do this. I think we're even though we continue to win, I think we're still on an upward climb. We just added a brand new athletic football only weight room that's terrific. That helps us. We just redid our locker room last year with the generous of some alumni. We just built a field house a few years ago, so obviously our facilities have gotten a lot better. So I do think that with the right draw. Now listen, I understand. With the right draw, yes, we can make a push to to try to win a national championship, to get to that semifinal game. I mean, I don't think, and this might make some people mad, especially in your neck of the woods, I don't think our 2017 W&J team that got beat in the second round of playoffs, I don't think there's a whole lot different between our 2017 W&J team and the 18 Hopkins team and the 19 Muhlenberg team that went to the semifinals. What the difference was is the draws that they got. Okay, the draws that they got. We get Mount Union in the second, third round. Okay, so yeah, I do think we can win a national championship, and that's one of the reasons I've stayed here too. And it's a great place to work. I get along with our athletic director. He's a great man. I get along with him. I get along with our coaches. I love the types of players that we. It's close to home both for me and for my wife's family, and it's just a good place to work and a good place to be.
So Mike Tomlin doesn't have to look over his shoulder over in Pittsburgh, is what you're telling us?
No, I don't think so. I'm not an Eagles fan anyway, so I'm sure I wouldn't be welcome to even watch practice with the Steelers anymore. So I got a bunch of Colts gear if you guys want it. I'm selling it on eBay here this week, but I'm now an Eagles fan.
Coach, we got to wish you the best of luck this Friday. Both teams have earned this right to be in this game, and it's going to be a good one, I think. And as you said, teams may not like each other per se, but there is mutual respect for how good these teams are.
Yeah, we respect 100% mutual respect. We respect them, and they listen. They know each other too, so it should be really fun. We're really excited to play in it. And
we respect you for your time and for all your greatness.
You guys do a great job too. You really do. I appreciate everything you guys do for Division III football and taking your time out to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Mike Sirianni, maybe not the most popular or well-known Sirianni in Pennsylvania football right now, but you know what? He's got an over 800 winning percentage in his 18 seasons of coaching. He might
really
want
impressive.
to ask for a recount on that whole situation there, but good talk with him, and he good humor about the whole Nick situation and whatnot, so appreciate him. So, JB, I think that does it for this episode. Like I said earlier, Friday live show next week, kind of a preview of Week 12, what's left of it, and then talking about what we've been through over the last 14 months. So you'll want to watch that. And maybe a little top 25 action of some sort, as you're pointing out. So we'll let you know, folks. We'll keep you posted on Twitter and Facebook, but especially on Twitter, we'll give you the updates in real time. Until Friday, JB, don't worry. We'll get this right eventually. It'll be okay. We've got this. The Warriors just called. They said they were thrilled to be playing on Saturday.
I bet they would have been. Yeah, sure.
See you on Friday, folks.